Hello and welcome back to the show. I'm Tom Christiano. Well, tonight we have an outstanding panel of town leaders on the show, and with me tonight we have Angie Taranto. How are you, Angie?
Good. How are you, Tom?
Good, thanks. Good. By the way, Angie,
having me.
this is your 27th time on the show, Angie.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We have this list. I don't know if Pete could get a shot of the gold panelist list, but anyway, that's okay. We can get it later some other time. But Angie's 27th time on the show, so you're the third
Didn't
highest
realize.
of about 300 panelists on the
Oh,
show.
really?
The third highest. Imagine that's great, right?
That's like the top 1%.
Yeah. We're going to tax you at a higher rate, Angie. Top 1%, right?
Isn't that 1%?
Yeah, that's all. I'm in that 1% group.
So as everybody knows, Angie is currently and has been a town meeting representative, right?
Right.
What precinct is that,
8.
Angie? Precinct 8 for a long time, right? You've been a rep.
Yes, I am.
You've also been a school committee member for many years,
12
right?
years.
You have been.
12 years.
12 years.
Yep.
In fact, there's a building named after you at the McCarthy School, right? One of the buildings
Yeah,
in
the
back.
field house.
The field house,
right.
That must be a great honor, huh?
Yes,
Angie?
it was. It was a surprise and very touching for me.
Oh, it's wonderful, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you miss
It's great.
being on the school committee?
At times.
Oh.
Now I do.
No, yeah.
Last year.
Well, thanks for being here again,
you're
Andrew.
welcome.
27th
Thank you for
time. It's
asking me.
wonderful.
Yep.
And we have our town manager again, Paul Cohen. How are you, Paul?
Great, Tom. Thanks for having me this
Thanks
year.
for being here. Your 21st time on the show, so you're also on the gold panelist
Right.
list, Paul.
Not as high as Angie, but
But you'll get there maybe someday. I don't know.
pace
Well,
with
I don't know. But it's great. You're always here for our annual, what's our anniversary show
where
every
we have
year.
cake, right.
And then when we give out the Citizen of the Year awards,
That's
which
right.
we're going to do in a couple of minutes,
No cake.
you're always here for those shows, and if we sometimes another show in between.
That's right.
And I just saw you at the Holiday Prelude. We could maybe talk about that later on in the
Yes,
show, how
yes.
that went, which was
Thank you.
great.
Thank you for being out there and filming and
Oh,
covering the event for the community, and also then posting the photos afterwards.
Oh, thanks. My
It was
pleasure.
very-
My
worked
pleasure.
real well.
We had a great crew of, Pete Padula and Tara helped us with the
Yeah.
lighting and everything. So, and it was a lot of fun to do it. And the weather was great this year at the Holiday Prelude.
Yeah.
So
A
that
lot-
was nice.
a lot
I
of
didn't
young-
freeze my tail.
Right, a lot of young families. It's like,
Oh,
with
good.
like infants and youngsters. So it was
That's
really a
great.
great family event.
It was fantastic. Did you see on the Chelmsford news page on Facebook how somebody just is moving here from Arlington?
Yes.
Did you see my comment that?
Yeah.
Oh, you're so lucky! You're moving to one of the best towns in the country. And I told her all the things that we offer and all that you could find here in town, and then
great.
so many people comment to help her out with how to find this, how to find good restaurants, how to find help. It's really a great community, I think.
Well, it's
here in
interesting that
Chelmsford.
she found your web page, your Facebook page,
Yes,
for
yeah.
Chelmsford News. So it just shows you the reach that it has.
Right.
So someone
Yes,
comes into
yeah.
Chelmsford, does a search, and comes up with the Chelmsford News, and can get a lot of assistance from the community as they're coming in.
I know, it's amazing now how many people ask for help in this or that, or finding a plumber or a doctor or whatever, or a good restaurant, and then
I
it
didn't
comes up in the
realize
news
that.
page. So, in fact, I'm hoping the library will link it on their town pages. I don't know if you got my email
I
yet,
did,
Becky,
actually.
but-
It's already, we're in the middle of doing a new web page, and
Oh,
so it's
good.
actually linked in that one at this point. In
Oh,
another
good.
couple weeks, you'll see it
Oh,
come
great.
up live.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Very
Because a lot of
nice.
people tell me they find it very helpful, and hopefully it is, but I spend a fair amount of time observing that and posting on that thing.
And how
you know,
many
just to try-
followers do you have now? It's a couple thousand, right?
Oh, just over 2,700.
Right, yeah, almost 3,000.
And we should be
wow.
hitting 2,800 pretty soon. And this is only in 5 months we had the Chelmsford news page, so it's growing nice.
That's excellent.
I'd like to see it hit like 3,000 to 4,000 within a year. It'd be great. 4,000 would be really great. But anyway, just because you communicate with more people,
Yep.
let more people know what's going on in town, which I think is helpful.
Yep.
So, in fact, that's why we do this show here, right?
Yep.
I don't think
right.
any of us get paid to do this show, so
No.
it's all that just help people know what's going on in town, and so we could say what great citizen of the year we have two on a show like this one. So thanks for being here, Paul. As everybody knows, I didn't mention, but Paul's our town manager of Chelmsford. I think everybody watching this show probably knows that. But
Starting my 10th year now, Tom.
10th
Town
year,
manager.
wow,
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
You don't have anniversary parties, do you? Like
No,
I do with
no.
cake and everything?
No,
I want some cake.
You
You
never
can
know,
start a
Paul.
tradition.
Right,
How about
right.
every 10 years and the 15
Right,
and
right.
20? Nice. Well, thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
And we have my good friend Pat Wojtas with us here tonight. How are you, Pat?
Doing okay, Tom?
Thanks for being on the show. This is Pat's 25th time on the show, so you're also on the gold panelist list,
Yeah, but
as you know.
I'm not near Angie.
Well, you're only two.
Well, you're only
that's
two
not
behind
bad.
Angie, one behind your brother Charlie Wojtas.
So you probably have him on next month to make sure that he stays ahead.
Well, he tells me
true.
we got to keep ahead of Pat.
Oh,
So-
does he? I believe it. Yeah, I believe it.
No, but I'm only kidding. But it's a nice little brother and sister right near each other, and appearances on the show. Well, I think because both of you have been so involved in the town. For example, you've been a selectman. You're going to make an announcement tonight whether or not you're going to run again for selectman. You've been a longtime town meeting representative, Precinct 5.
Right.
You've been instrumental, one of the founders of the Military Community Covenant.
Correct.
You're also on the NIMCOG committee, right? Northern Middlesex
Council of
of
Governments,
Governments.
right.
And are you the vice chairman now?
Yes,
did
I
you
am,
say?
yeah.
That's fantastic. So,
Yeah, thank you.
so and you're a veteran too.
Yes,
as
I am.
well. So you've been doing so much with the town. That's why I think I invite you on the show so much, because you are involved in so many things.
Okay.
And you believe that, right? No. And also selectmen too. As you know, I invite selectmen quite a bit, of school
Yes.
committee members and town managers. So, but thanks for being here, Pat.
Okay, thanks for having me.
And Becky Herrmann, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me.
For the first time on the show. I really appreciate it. It's wonderful.
I feel so bad.
How many years have you worked for the town, Becky?
Oh, no. I think one time you were going to be on, but something came up, and then Christine filled in. Remember
Yes.
that? Yeah,
I know.
but it was going to be, I know. But you're doing a great job as a director of the Chelmsford Library. How many years has it been now, Becky?
I'm starting my 15th year in January.
15th year. That's
Wow,
fantastic.
15
Time
years.
flew by.
There you go. There you go. So another
Time flew
15 years,
by.
you can come back on the show.
There you go.
How do you like it being the director so far?
Oh, I love it. Yeah,
It's
it's a
fantastic,
terrific
right?
job.
Isn't it a great town? too?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
it is a great town. It's why I stay so long. You know,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it's just been a wonderful place to work in a wonderful community.
Yes, and I think the library too, especially since we redid it, about 15 years ago,
Yes,
expanded the
it
library.
Was,
It's
it
a
was
beautiful.
in 2001.
2000.
No, 2000.
2000.
Because
it
I
was-
came
it
in
was-
2001. I
Right,
came
and
on-
it was
a
on
year
February
after.
29th.
February 29th, it was, yes, it was.
Right.
It was Leap Day.
Leap
right.
Day,
Oh,
wow.
really, huh?
Right.
So that's a great addition. The library is fantastic. I was just there tonight picking up some things. I reserve things online, as you know, and usually drop in. And everybody at the front desk and working at the library, just fantastic.
Yeah, I have a
Yeah.
great
I
crew.
just-
I do.
They're so friendly and helpful. I just start walking in there, and they just start getting my things, you know, like, oh, there's Tom to pick up.
That's
It's like,
right.
I'm there once or twice a week, and not all books, sometimes CDs, DVDs, whatever.
And
But
you
it's very
worked
helpful.
with some great trustees over those 15
I
years.
do. As a matter of fact, Pat was also a library trustee, and
And
Tom
Tom,
was a
right, there you
trustee.
go.
Yeah,
so-
yeah,
Right,
two
that's
trustees
right.
here.
Yeah.
Yes, and Pat has a big announcement too. We'll talk also.
She's also the
well,
chair of the Friends.
Yeah, president.
President.
Oh, no.
That's not the announcement.
Yeah.
That's all we
Well,
know.
it was.
That Pat Wojtas has recently been elected the president of the Chelmsford Friends of the Library,
That's
which is
right.
wonderful, Pat.
It is
Great.
wonderful.
That's a
Yeah,
great thing,
congratulations.
and they do so much wonderful work. I mean,
There is a lot of good work that they
especially-
do, yeah. And it's a well-oiled machine, so I don't think there'll be a lot of heavy lifting for me, but, you know, it's an exciting thing to be, to be recognized that way and to have them want me to be their president.
Which is, it's wonderful. And
It's nice.
they help with the book sale every year.
Yes.
I pretty much do all the organizing of it. And last year we raised, over $16,000 or something like that, the
Oh,
Friends?
it's actually close to 26. Yes.
When you added they
Yeah,
had
so
two
they had
book
two book
sales,
sales
right?
together. Yeah,
Wow.
we usually make close to $30,000,
Yes,
which
which
is
is amazing.
Amazing. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, and
It
that's
is
partly
amazing.
just because of their efforts in that they sort. They have book drops frequently over the year, and then they sort them and they price them individually, and that's really what makes the difference.
Yes, it's
So you
fantastic.
can come in and you can go to your particular subject area and find what you're looking for, and then we
Beautiful.
also have dealers that come that that have contributed a lot over the years too.
Yes, they come in with their little iPhones now or whatever.
Yeah, so I
And-
actually think what was interesting this past year is that we have fewer dealers now, so really most of the money that we're making is just from the community.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah, so.
That's
It's
nice.
nice. Well, it's a great selection. I picked up some big books. I've been reading the history of the United States before I go to sleep every night. And it's a
Put you to
huge book. My cats are wondering, what is this thing Christiano's holding there, but it's a big history book anyway.
Well, I think the important
Right.
thing to note is that the Friends money pays completely for all the programs that we have at the library. We don't have a
Oh,
line in the
okay.
municipal budget for that at this point, and so every performer, every storyteller, every author, every program,
Oh, that's
lecturers, refreshments, things like that are all paid for by the Friends of the Library.
Because you
So
don't
that's
charge for those,
amazing.
It is
right?
amazing, and thank God for the Friends of the Library.
No admission for those.
No,
So
library's
that's
free.
all open free.
Your tax dollars pay for it.
Or the Friends
Oh,
dollars.
the Friends do.
Yeah, or the Friends dollars, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
It's
that
a
way.
combination.
I think
We
that's
don't
better.
charge.
Right.
But before we go to the Citizens of the Year Awards, I thought maybe we could talk to Pat for an announcement
And Coates.
tonight, Pat, whether or not you're running for the Board of Selectmen. I know I've been hearing that for a while, and other people have been telling me you might be running. So
Well, I heard there was an announcement made last month by Charlie, in fact, on your show.
I was on that show.
did he say you were going to run, or I forgot what did he say?
We'll have to go to the tape, I guess.
So
Yeah,
Pat, I
he
was
did say
wondering,
something, didn't he?
are you planning to run for Selectman this year?
Well, I've been talking to a lot of people the past couple of months, and I've been getting a lot of encouragement and a lot of offers of support. So I'm going to see if that support comes through. So yeah,
Great,
right
great.
now I'm planning on running. Yes.
Great,
Very
thank you,
good.
Pat. Thanks, that's
So-
wonderful. And so you've been a selectman in the past, so you know what it's like to
I
run
do.
and everything, and to
I do.
organize and get everything done. So that's great. And this, I didn't mention it before, but there's 2 open seats this year.
Right.
Matt Hanson, the current chairman, isn't running for re-election because he's the assistant town manager in Tingsboro, I believe, town
Yes.
administrator.
Yep.
And also Janet Askeberg decided not to run again this year because of work commitments and other things with her son and all that. So 2 open seats this year. So has anybody heard of anybody else before? I'll get back to who might be running this year.
Well, I think it's pretty well known. You just look in the audience at Selectmen's meetings,
right,
and you
I
can
was
find out
gonna
who
say.
people are interested in.
John Harrington?
Yeah, not John.
He took a night off last night.
No, but I think we've seen Sandy Martinez.
Right,
Yeah,
Sandy
Sandy
Martinez.
So
Martinez
yeah,
said
so I
she
mean,
might be
so I'm not.
running.
I don't think I'm
I
breaking
think-
any confidentiality
No,
or anything
no,
with
no,
that.
No, I
she's
don't think so.
told
I
me,
think
and I
she's-
just met
Exactly.
Yeah.
many people.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty.
Other than that, I don't think I've heard of anybody who said they're definitely considering it. You know,
No.
we could always have names that we throw out there, but no one that has mentioned it to me. I guess there are others
I haven't heard
nearby
other than
that-
And the
Sandy.
nomination papers become available January 4th,
January 4th.
you
so
know, which is
then
that
you'll
Monday
know.
in January. And then I think they're available through like the second Thursday in February. So
Yes.
that's sort of the period where
Yes,
people can
yeah.
pull out papers.
Yeah. Well, I would bet we'll have a competitive race this year because when we have 2 open seats, we usually do, but we'll see. Time will tell.
Time will tell.
It'd be
yeah.
nice if we don't, right? I would think, but if we
Well,
don't have it,
I've never had a non-competitive race,
haven't?
so I don't know what it would be
Oh,
like.
Well, I think it'd be kind of smooth, you know, a little less stress, I would
Yeah,
think.
less
but-
stressful.
That's
Yeah.
I would think so. I would hope so.
And we'll have an open seat for constable. You know,
Oh, right, yeah, so that's going to be on the ballot,
Will
right?
be on the ballot for a 3-year term.
Is that a paid position, Paul? Somebody was wondering
It's
about
a
that.
nominal paid. I mean, they
No
get
health
believe
insurance
it,
yet?
no, there's no benefits, but they get paid a nominal fee when they post the warrant as
Oh,
part
I
of
see,
their duty.
like
so it's
$50 or something
Not even
like
that. I think
that,
it's like $25.
Oh,
or
I
something
see.
Like, and they got to go around to like 8 places in town to do it. So it's not.
Wow, oh
you know.
my God.
So it's
So
just
they-
meant, it's just
they
meant
still
to
I
have
thought they only did voting precincts.
No, they actually do all the different locations
Oh,
because
okay.
they want to get the word out in the community, even though we've consolidated the voting precincts.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So that will be on the ballot this year. We'll also have 2 seats coming up at the school committee. They might be running again, Evelyn Thorne and Barbara Scar.
Right.
So we don't know, we'll find out pretty soon. There's 2 seats on the planning board, also many others, so.
And there's an going to be an unexpired 2-year term on the planning board as well. Colleen Stanfield has resigned her position
She's resigned
on
her
the planning
position.
board.
Oh.
And
Oh.
so there'll be an open 2-year seat on the planning board as
Oh,
well.
that's- I see.
So
Now,
there'll
who's
be at
up
least,
this year
What
on the
kind-
planning board?
Henry and Ed Rue.
Ed
Oh,
Rue, yes.
Henry Parley and Ed Rue.
Ed Rue.
Yeah, Henry
Okay,
Curley,
those
Andrew.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Carlene's done a great job all
Yeah.
these years on the planning
I
board,
know.
right? So it's wonderful.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
is there any thing you want to mention about priorities, top priorities or anything, or? do you feel-
I haven't really,
Give it that much
sat
thought,
down and thought about what the issues are going to be. I mean, people are always coming up to me with the things that they'd like to see, this or that run, a little bit different. I mean, obviously, there's always taxes. People are always talking about
Yeah.
taxes, but that is what it is, and we do the best we can. As I'm sure, Paul will tell us. This evening he's probably getting ready to do his budgets for next fiscal year now, and it's tight. Everything's tight.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there might be some other quality of life type things that you might be able to, be a proponent of coming forward. So we'll see what happens.
Great.
Well,
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
There'll be plenty of opportunity to talk about all that stuff in the next several months.
Yeah.
Yes. In fact, last year were there, I think, at least 5 selectmen debates, right, in town.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
it
I
was.
heard from the candidates that they were getting kind of tired of it all, and they didn't want that many, especially when the Lowell Sun had one. Nothing against the Lowell Sun. It's just that was a kind of a new one. They said, oh, why do we have to do this?
Right.
And I think it was at the senior center maybe or
Yes,
something.
it
but-
was.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it
So-
was at the senior.
Anyway, so I used to have them here for many years. I don't know if you knew that, but we stopped because it was too many debates for everybody, and
Yeah,
I did it for many years.
Yeah, I wish they would maybe either consolidate a couple of them or have a different format. I mean, everyone, they ask a question and you have, 60 seconds or maybe
Yes.
90 seconds to answer. I'd rather have, that's fine to do 1 or 2 like that, but have like a long form one,
Yes.
basically,
Yeah, I
where,
agree.
either a one-on-one conversation, maybe with somebody for 15 minutes,
Yeah.
or have 5 minutes to answer a question, so you
Yes.
can get a little bit more into your answer on what
Yes.
it is you're going to do. Because in 30 seconds or even a minute,
Right.
Oh, I know, it's very short.
right.
Yeah.
It's just
Or-
sound bites.
Or a real debate too, wherein the candidates could be there, a question could be asked, and they could actually debate the issue and go back and forth.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that would work too.
I've done that in this show, and people seem to enjoy that a lot because it was
Yeah.
less constrained by time.
Right.
And it shows your debating skills too, and your knowledge of the issues. And
Right, but like you
That-
said,
but
you have,
nobody does that,
You have
though.
5 debates, and it's 80% of the questions are the same question,
Yeah,
so
just
the same
gonna say
answer.
that. It's the
yes,
same
yeah.
You can't
Same
change your
thing.
answer from March to
Right,
April.
that's
Well,
true,
some
yeah.
politicians do.
thing. Yeah.
Well,
Pick you up
thank
on
you,
it.
Pat. Thanks.
Okay.
Well, every year in December, the town manager and I get together along with some other people, and we have our Citizen of the Year show, wherein we announce Chelmsford 2000 and whatever year it is, Citizens of the Year. And we give out these nice awards, which I'll show you there. But we've been doing this with the awards signed mostly by the town manager, I believe, for about, this is our 10th year of doing it with these framed awards. And so rather than read, I used to read them all going back the past 10 years, but that would take too much time. So if you don't mind, I'll just read last year's Citizens of the Year. 2014 Chelmsford Citizens of the Year were Sue Carter, Bill Askenberg, Vivian Merrill, Lori Myers, Sandy Donovan, who helps out with the food bank, right? I
Yep.
think, and Mary Kramer helps out the library a lot, right? And of course, all these other people, everybody knows, I think, right? Bill Askenberg does so much over at the Friendship Park, and what's it called, Roberts Field, Pollinator Park. Now, he works so hard over there, it's amazing. Sue Carter's many years on the planning board. Vivian Merrill's done so much for the Chelmsford Dog Association, and many other things in town. And Lori Myers has done a lot to help people in town. So we usually have a great group of people, and they're generally not people who are, like all the selectmen, we don't generally select them because they're pretty well known. We try to get people a little bit more below the radar, like Mary Kramer. A lot of people might not have known how much work she's done for the Friends of the Library and that kind of thing. So it's the same thing this year. We have 5 Citizens of the Years. One of them happens to be a group, and maybe we could start with that group, which is the Chelmsford 2015 Citizen of the Year, the Chelmsford Garden Club. So I don't know if you could get a shot of that, Meredith, but so I'll mention a little bit, but the first time I got an idea that they would be great to get this award is when Brenda Lovering was speaking at the Board of Selectmen meeting. And she was talking about all that they have done throughout town, all that the Garden Club has done over the years, not just this past year, but planting all kinds of flowers and bulbs every year, thousands. And I said, wow, they do great work for the town. And then she was there at the Selectmen meeting that night to present about the 7 North Road new public park, which they will be kind of honchoing, championing, and building. So I said, what a great time to award them a Chelmsford Citizen of the Year. So, Paul, what do you think about the Chelmsford Garden Club?
It's amazing. I mean, and Pat knows, she sat on the board and heard the many presentations over the years, and also on all the visits to the town hall, the town offices.
The Arbor Day
the Arbor
programs
Day,
they have every
I mean,
year.
it's
Yeah.
just, like you said, and like I said, we were all taken back by their generosity and their commitment to basically next growing season to do the park right off the center there at the former fire station site. So,
Yes.
well deserving. What a great group of volunteers, as you say, do it without drawing attention to themselves in terms of it's an organizational effort, and they put in the time and the effort and on some awfully warm days in the summer that you see them out there.
Out there
It's
working,
greatly
yeah.
appreciated.
And if you look at the flowers all over, like at the town offices, the fire station nearby, and a lot of our what you call islands throughout the town. I mean,
Yep.
flowers all over the place in public areas. Oh, that's common, town common. I don't know if they did those flowers. They might have, but beautiful anyway. Anybody else have anything to say about the
No, I
Chelmsford
think it's
Garden
going to be a
Club?
great asset to the town. I just think that you're looking at that empty lot and you're going to see something there. And then talking with Brenda, her plans to have a picnic tables
Yeah, a
that
couple-
people can get there. And, people who come and visit the town now can find a place they can sit and just observe, and see what the town really is. I think it's a great idea. I give them a lot of credit.
I do as well. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to having lunch there on those picnic
Yeah.
tables periodically,
Right.
looking out over the common.
And it's
And,
conveniently located to the rail trail.
Yes, I could
Oh,
stop
you
when
can
I'm
get
biking.
on your
right?
biking. There you go.
There you go.
I set a new record, as you know,
Yeah.
2,603 miles this year.
That's
Yeah.
pretty
Wow.
amazing.
So,
And you still got a couple of weeks left with this warm
That's
weather.
right.
well,
you could.
but I stopped though, Paul,
Okay.
about 3 weeks ago because, every year I have a higher goal, right?
Right.
So I can't. I don't want when I'm 67 now.
Yeah.
I don't want when I'm 68 to have a goal
That you can't reach.
2,615 miles. I mean, come on. So I'm trying to make it easy on myself.
all right.
So every day now I go.
Once you achieved it.
Yeah. Well, every year.
Achievable
He
goal.
moves
Yeah,
the,
the
back.
pedal
Every year I
backwards.
go.
Smart goals.
Yeah, one year achievable. Like this year, my goal was 2,537.
Okay.
So I beat that by about 65 miles or something like that. And that was good. I thought that was
Yeah.
great, and I felt good. Thank
Yeah.
God. So, but every day now I walk in the woods
Okay.
and I do push-ups, knee bends, sit-ups, all that stuff.
Oh, wow.
So
Oh, that's good.
I'm
Good for
great.
you.
just try to. I'm lucky to be able to do it. I guess.
right.
But, I think, but.
That's right.
So yeah, our bike path has been fantastic too. I wish Bruce Freeman could be here. We could have given him a Citizen of the Year
Yeah.
award. It's named after Bruce Freeman, as everybody knows. And so I thought maybe next if we could go to our next Chelmsford 2015 Citizen of the Year award was Betty Mae Flaherty, who was the past president of the Chelmsford Friends of the Library. And I'm a member of the Friends of the Library, and a big cat lover. So Betty Mae has a bunch of cats too. So we're always talking about her cats and everything. She really does love cats, right?
Yes,
Thank you. Yeah.
she does.
And so not only does she do great work for the Friends of the Library, but also as a humanitarian to help the animals. But she does a lot. She did a lot of hard work as a member of the Chelmsford Friends of the Library. I'm sure she'll continue as a member. But as a president, you really have a lot more organizational responsibilities. So I thought, Becky, maybe could you talk a little bit about Betty Mae Flaherty as a
Sure. Well, I think what's interesting about her is that she's kind of unassuming in some ways, in that she's got a lot of personality, but she's not. When she was the president, she wasn't tell everyone what to do. She just kind of got everybody to do things with a smile.
Nice,
She
nice.
was just wonderful that way, and she's one of the hardest workers I have ever met. She not only helped organize the book sale, but she also has the book cart that is in the library, that she fills that every week. She's there probably 2 or 3 times a week, filling it, checking it, making sure that we get good sales. She sorts all the books. So, like, for instance, there was all wonderful Christmas books that were out for this time of year, holiday books. I mean, she curates it in such a way that, and we're making, besides the money that we make from the Friends of the Library book sale, we're also making, $4,000 and $5,000 a year just from that little cart.
That's a
wow.
significant
It
amount
is.
of money.
That's
It's really
fantastic, yeah.
impressive,
What
and it's
if-
totally because of the way she's curated it and made sure that things on there were really appealing to people and changed the stock
that's
all the
nice,
time.
yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Anything else? We have more time for anything else you want to say about it? It's up to you.
Yeah, well, no, I think
Okay.
I think we are very honored that you are choosing to honor the Friends more than one year in a row, actually.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and I think that says a lot about the high regard that people have
Yeah.
for
People
the
do.
kind of spirit of
They do.
volunteerism that people have on the Friends. And,
Yeah.
and as you
And-
said, I mean, they do it out of the goodness of their hearts, and
Yes.
it's a lot of long hours and a lot of dedication, and we just so much appreciate it at the library.
Thanks. And Madeline Needles is also past president.
Yes.
I mean, a past recipient to
Yes,
this award.
another
who
wonderful
worked very
person.
hard and
Yeah,
still does.
And even when somebody isn't the president anymore, they're like a lifelong volunteer. They're constantly on the board and helping out and you know, participating. So, Pat, we're going to expect that from you.
Uh-oh.
Not a one-year job.
You're in it for life.
Thank you, Becky. Thanks. Well, our next Chelmsford 2015 Citizen of the Year award will be to Alan Thomas, commonly known as Al Thomas.
That's right.
And Al has volunteered for many years as a Chelmsford school committee man, like Angie was for many years. Al is currently the chairperson
Right.
or chairman of that committee. And as a school committee member and chairman, you spend maybe 20 hours a week on average on that committee, right, Angie?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a lot of work there, and he was the principal of the Chelmsford High School.
Right.
And he also would write columns for swimming and other sports for the
Exactly,
local
right.
newspapers.
Yep.
He also is a volunteer for the Chelmsford Rotary Club,
Yeah.
as you may
Right.
know, and
Yeah.
helps raise funds for them, and all that money goes to various charities.
Right.
So Al thinks of other people quite a bit. He volunteers a great deal of his time.
Yep.
And so
He
I think
does.
he's a great recipient, and thank you, Al, for all of your efforts for the town of Chelmsford.
Right.
Angie, any other
No, I
comments or-
agree with you. Al is just a wonder, and to me, he's never tireless. He keeps going, and he's always there when events, activities are taking place. He's at most of the sport events, supporting the teams and the coaches and so forth in the programs. And Al is well respected as a school administrator, but also as a coach. He was a swim coach for a good number of years, and he had a number of championship teams. And he still helps out. I know one time I was talking with him, and he said he had to leave because he was going to help out with the diving that was taking place in one of the meets.
Oh.
So Al's right there all the time. So I can't think of anyone else.
Fantastic. Yeah, he's
right?
doing so much
He's great.
for the
Amazing.
town. So,
Right.
and he's been on this show not as many times as you, Angie,
No,
but
but he'll get
he's
there.
getting there.
He'll get there.
So, well, thanks. Anybody else want to add anything, or we could just go on to our next Chelmsford 2015 Chelmsford Citizen of the Year is Dave McLaughlin. Is that how you pronounce his
Yep,
last name?
yep.
Some people are
Yep.
very sensitive about
Yep.
that, I found.
McLaughlin.
Yep.
McLaughlin. So Dave McLaughlin has been the member and chairperson of the Chelmsford Conservation Commission, I believe it is, right?
Yes.
For many, many years. I don't know exactly how many it is, but he's volunteered many, many hours to the town of Chelmsford, and he's very concerned about our open spaces, our conservation areas. And he was a town meeting representative in town. And so I think he's a great citizen of the town of Chelmsford, and
Right.
we want to thank him for all, and he's still serving on the Chelmsford Conservation Commission. So basically these awards are to thank people who maybe aren't as well known as the selectmen and some other people in town, but thank them for all the hard work they do for the people in the town of Chelmsford. Would anybody else like to mention anything about David?
Yeah, I served with Dave on the Oak Hill Site Plan Committee,
Oh.
and he does more than just the meeting stuff. I mean, he's out there. He's a hands-on guy, so he likes to get into the weeds, as it were, and do as much as he can for conservation for the town. And I think it's a great choice.
Great, thanks.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, hopefully Dave and everybody will be surprised when they
know.
know it.
I would hope
And by
so.
the way, we thank our town manager too for signing every one of these awards. And I make sure that the town manager and I talk about these people ahead of time. So if Paul didn't agree with anybody, they wouldn't get the award, Paul Cohen.
Powerful.
So he signs. So he signs, right, Paul? So he signs every one of these awards, and his assistant Trish Dershus has been nice enough to print them out for me every year because my printer is terrible. So and then I frame them. So
That's nice.
the day before the show. Well, our next
nice.
Chelmsford 2015 Citizen of the Year is Reverend Steve Burkett, or Stephen Burkett. And many of you may know Stephen Burkett from our many services that we have here in town. Memorial Day services, Veterans Day services, the opening of the new Chelmsford Fire Station. I believe he's the chaplain, still is a chaplain
Yes.
of the
Yes.
Chelmsford
Yes,
Fire
he is.
Department. And the Reverend Burkhead, I don't go to that church, but I understand he's the minister at the North Congregational
Right,
Church.
he is.
So he was nominated mentioned to me by Angie Taranto. And Angie said, you know who does a lot for this town is Reverend Steve Burkhead. He's doing this and going to this place and that place. And I think there was like 3 services in a row at wakes or something he went to.
Right.
So Angie, I'll mention something later, but do you want to mention a little bit about Steve Burkhead?
Yeah, I do. I think the most thing that impresses me the most is his personality. He's got a welcoming, straightforward type personality, makes everyone feel comfortable, and he's always there when there's a need. I think he was there when they had that fire down there at the mobile home place there. He was there. And he's always, I always envied his leadership at his church because his parishioners do so much. They have a clothing drive there, and they sell the clothes there. They have their bean supper. There's so much going on at that church that, and every time you talk to a parishioner, it's always in a positive tone. And then he affected me and my family in the last year. A young lady that lived next door to me that we helped grow up, I guess, and she passed away, and Reverend did a tremendous service for her, and not really knowing her, but it made everyone there, her family and everyone there, feel that he knew her. He took the time to do it. So I just thought that is something that, it speaks well for Chelmsford. So that's why I nominated.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Angie.
Yeah.
It's a great selection, and every time I go to the Veterans Day services, Memorial Day services, not only does he do a nice job there in kind of a non-denominational way to as much as he can, but he's such a nice person.
Yes.
I wouldn't like it if he didn't show the love, that I think a religious person should show,
No,
and he
right.
does show that.
He does.
He's always so friendly. He remembers my name, and I'm not a parishioner there. And he's just such a nice guy and friendly. He's a great asset to the town of Chelmsford. So thank you for nominating him, Angie.
My pleasure.
And you're also a citizen of the year. Did I mention that earlier in the show?
Yep.
Angie Taranto was one of the earliest ones, in like 2006 or 7. Yeah, I could find it here, actually. I have the whole list. But yeah, Angie has been
the
volunteered
past.
so much for the town. But we have a great list. Someday, if anybody wants a list, by the way, you could send me an email at tchristiano@comcast.net, and I'd be glad to send you out the list. It'd be very easy. So our time is flying by, surprisingly, but it's been interesting so far. Paul, I was wondering if you could tell us what maybe the top issue or two is in the town right now?
We're sort of in transition right now with the town. We've just finished the fall town meeting. We've set the tax rate, had our audit reports in, and now it's sort of like turning the calendar for a new year for us. So we sort of discussed that last night at our board meeting. We're sort of having the new page. We're preparing the budget for the upcoming year, preparing the town meeting warrant. And in fact, citizen articles are due the first Monday in February at 4 o'clock.
January.
January. I'm sorry. People
That's
are
pretty
interested in
soon,
January.
right, Paul? About
It's
3
coming
weeks
soon.
away
Yeah,
or
that's why
something.
we announced it last evening, so that people would know we have less than a month. And then the Board of Selectmen is going to hold a public input session on February 1st. Which is a Monday evening.
At the senior center?
No, they're going to do it in room 204. They
room
decided
204,
this
that's
year.
good, that's
so
good.
you just have
Yeah,
a
the
night set
TV's
aside to
it's
concerns.
easier for the TV maybe to be there.
And so again, so issues that are the air before we finalize the budget, before we finalize the warrant. So for us, it's like turning the page for a new year, as I described. And so there's a lot going on in terms of the challenges. I think things are we've got, and I say this and I'll say this again, we are blessed by the talented people who dedicate to serve the town, and we've noted them some of this earlier today. But all those who also were employed by the town. I think the returns are in on the new school administration, and everything's very positive. There's an effective working relationship you can see within the school committee and the administration, between the school financial administration and the town's financial administration. I just think that we're all the returns, even the high school principal, Steve Murray. There just seems to be like I said, sort of we've turned the page. We're going forward. And I think I think we're well positioned going forward.
Yes.
And then I think sort of town-wide issues in terms of the residents. I think what you're going to see is a lot of activity in the town center in the few years ahead. You sort of saw a physical transformation of that recently with the mobile site adjacent to the library, where the building was taken down rather quickly and really unexpectedly. The ironic thing there is that the mobile station was owned by two different property owners. Standard Oil, or Mobile Corporation, owned the pieces that's closest to the end of the triangle, and then Rudy owns the remaining of the parcel and the home next door. And there was a breakdown in the relationship, for lack of a better term. So the mobile pulled the pumps, took the tanks out of the ground, and then the building and site is cleared. So we're now interested in sort of what will be the redevelopment of that site, because we would hope that something can take place in the springtime, because it's so visible in the
Yes,
center.
oh, it is,
And obviously with the success of the library and the library's project that's going to really come to fruition next spring, in terms of the outbuilding and the green space. The recent work, obviously, with the CVS and the former Stop and Shop Plaza, where there's two restaurants being constructed right now. Not only Andiamo's at the end, which is the Italian restaurant, there's also going to be a Greek restaurant going in there as well.
Oh, where's
Really?
what spot is that going to be?
It's
the
in one of
middle
the smaller
somewhere,
spots,
or-
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so there'll be a
So
Greek
a Greek
restaurant.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then obviously you got
Italian,
Novo.
Greek, and then we have the Japanese.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice, that's
So
fantastic.
there's a lot going on there. We last evening, the Board of Selectmen took the center plan, master plan committee, and now have designated them to be the implementation committee. And so we're seeing some activity with the future use of the Oddfellow site, because those lease agreements are expiring in the relatively short-term future, as well as other aspects with the whole master plan for the center, the walkway, the signage that town meeting approved. So we're really got our eyes focused on the center. And I think even what sort of makes us feel encouraging is we just had the tree lighting, and the response from the tree lighting, not only in terms of how great of a family event it was, but people said how beautiful the center looked.
It does.
With the lighting and the trees, and then the picturesque. I mean, you've taken a number of pictures and posted them. I mean, it's a quintessential New England appearance in terms of the common, the churches in the background, the lights, the people. And so we're going to contribute with that, with, as I said, supporting the redevelopment, but also we're going to increase the construction of sidewalks in the center, so that one will be able to make the center more walkable. So you'll be able to go all the way around the library open space. We'll have the lighted crosswalks so that people can safely cross to Bartlett Park and across the street from the library on the other side, towards the Friendlies area.
There's a walking trail back there.
Exactly.
Like the woodlot back there.
Exactly. So I think really what you're going to see is a continued effort to revitalize the center of town.
That's fantastic, Paul. If we could just expand a little bit on that mobile station site.
Yeah.
There currently is an ugly chain link fence around it. That, you think that'll stay up
Well, that's
for-
a construction issue, because they were taking the
have
tanks
safety
out of the ground. They were
issues.
taking
Safety,
they were taking the tanks literally out of the ground. The fuel storage tanks. So once that is done, the site will be graded, for the winter, and then again we're hoping, and we're in communication with Rudy to see if we can facilitate, because it's such a prominent location, and now you see it with the house there that's located. That we really want it to be something that enhances the center,
That'd be
much
nice.
like certainly the library is the heart of the center, and now you've seen the great design that the planning board did for the CVS. That it looks, it looks fits in Chelmsford, as opposed to, remember the old building with Zesties and so forth. It was sort of rather antiseptic.
Yes.
So we're working on that,
But
and
we
a few
don't-
other things.
We have no idea yet what's
No,
going
there
in
is.
there, right?
Yeah, I don't think there is no plan. There's been no
plan,
plan
yeah.
filed or submitted.
Yeah.
There is not even an informal plan that we've seen.
Yeah.
Again, this all came rather unexpected.
Yes,
But-
yeah.
You said that the end.
Yeah, it's actually, the parcels are actually two separate parcels that made up the site.
Okay, but-
And Mobile Corp owned one portion that's
Right.
the closest to the end,
Funny, yeah.
and then Rudy owned the other. It's a rather strange
Right,
arrangement.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, because
And so now, as you can see, with the fallout and the relationship, there's now nothing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's right.
And so again, I think it'll be in everyone's interest to bring something to fruition
Right, I
that's in
think so.
keeping with the character and enhancement of the
Which
center.
would be nice
Yeah.
if it's keeping in character. But
Right.
everybody, they have to follow the zoning laws
Right,
for
the
one
zoning,
thing. So
right.
nobody's just going to be able to put whatever they want there.
Right.
It's all going to go before the planning board
Right.
for the zoning.
Exactly.
And maybe if they want exceptions, they have to go before the zoning board of appeals.
Right.
Exceptions to the zoning, whatever. So it'll be looked at very closely, I'm
Yes.
sure. Some people were concerned about that on Facebook, as you
Yes.
know, Paul.
Yeah.
But, well, thank you, Paul, for
Thank
the
you.
summary. Maybe if we can get a little, maybe summary from my friend Becky about what's going on at the Chelmsford Library and what may go on.
Well, I mean, just tying into what you said about, you know, the carriage house project and the green space. I mean, just to let people know that you know, project is on target to happen in the spring.
Right.
And what it really will do is enhance the library property in such a way that we have more of a park-like atmosphere and have some storage for the library and for the Friends, but in a building that will reference the 19th century buildings that were on it before, so that it will be in keeping with that. And it's just, again, it's by the grace of somebody who was a volunteer, a longtime person dedicated to the community, Marjorie Scaboria, who was a teacher, an educator, and a longtime trustee. So it's really is through the efforts of people who are dedicated to the town that we end up doing all of these wonderful projects. And that's how we're going to be able to afford the majority of it.
Nice.
So
Did
we'll be doing
you go
some.
through the approval process yet for that
Yes,
new building?
we
Okay,
did.
so
We
it's
went
all
through the
going through
planning and
boards?
zoning. And
Wonderful.
Conservation.
Conservation
Yeah.
Commission. Yeah. So we're
So
we're all
maybe in
good.
the spring it might be.
Yeah, no, it will go out to bid in
construct-
January.
Oh, out to bid in January.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
And then we'll
That's
be on board with
fantastic.
that. Yeah,
That's
so it'll
a-
be exciting because then,
It'll
I
be
mean,
exciting.
as you said, I mean, you know, we want to just be part of that whole process of enhancing the town center and making all of those connections between the center and the walkability for the town, because
Right.
it's frustrating when you just, you know, trying to walk to go to a restaurant or
Yeah.
or downtown or get to the Bruce Freeman Trail and you're dodging the traffic and trying to get across. So all
Yeah.
those crosswalks and everything that will happen will be really valuable, I think, for people trying to access, especially all the people that live within walking distance of the library too.
Speaking of the crosswalks, I think the raised crosswalks where the Friendlies is
Yep.
and in the center where Fishbones, I think that was a nice idea. It's probably
Yep.
but it's
Slows
not so
the
bad, so
traffic
it's
down.
really harsh, like
Yeah.
a little
Right.
quick
It
thing.
does.
But it's
Yeah.
a nice little smooth hill. It reminds people, slow down to like 10 to 15 miles an hour. And so I think that's nice. And yet with the bricks on the walkway, it's not unsightly, which is
Right.
great.
That's
So thank you. So Becky, what else is
Well, the
happening?
other thing I guess I just wanted to talk about is that we're coming up on our 10th anniversary of our One Book Chelmsford program. And so we're actually tying it in with this year, the library applied for and received a grant from the state we're doing in conjunction with the Drake Library, and it was for $20,000. And so what we're doing then is it's a staff education and also programs for the public, all on the genre of suspense. So tying in with that, our One Book Chelmsford program will actually be keeping Chelmsford in suspense. And we're going to have multiple authors and panels and programs, including things like CSI Chelmsford, where we'll set up a crime scene and have people view it and then get walked through it and see how that works. But we're going to have Hallie Efron, who is a psychological suspense author, who will be coming. We have Hank Felipe Ryan, who will be coming, who does more criminal and political thrillers, and of course was the TV newscaster. And then we have an author named Steve Berry, who is a historical suspense author who's quite popular in the library. And then we have a program with Sisters in Crime where they'll do a panel discussion too. So a lot of fun things coming up and programs to look forward to. And we kick that all off during the first weekend of Winterfest. And yes, people are asking, we are going to do a Winterfest kickoff. We will do a reprise of the tastings party.
All right.
We
Oh,
put a
nice.
call out for volunteers. We did get 10 or 12 people. We still really would love more. And we need people to help with requesting donations from restaurants and helping with setup and cleanup and picking up food and things like that. But we usually have a wonderful response to that. We've had as many as 300 people that come to it at one time. And
That's always
we,
been-
we just would love to be able to do it again. So I'm saying yes, that we're going to do it.
Yay. And that's going to be first weekend in
It's
February?
the first
Yes.
week, the first
Yeah.
Friday night in February.
That's
yeah.
only about 6
It
weeks away
is,
or
which is why we
something,
need to get
Wow.
on.
Yeah, I think that's the 5th,
So anyway,
February
please
5th.
contact the
February
library
5th
and ask
is
for
the day.
Becky Herrmann or someone there.
Yeah, no,
Specifically
absolutely.
you?
Sure.
Or-
Yep,
okay,
I mean,
yeah.
it's-
And please volunteer if you can. Even if you want to contact restaurants or ask about donations or help with the cleanup, whatever.
Yeah, no, it'd be
That'd
terrific.
wonderful.
And we have a lot of fun and,
Yeah. It's great.
and have
It's a
a
great
lot of
event.
really
It's
good
been
food.
And what else is happening? Any programs coming up that you might wanna
Otherwise,
mention?
the other thing I guess I would just mention is sort of an interesting thing is that we have a couple of interesting devices that we loan out now, which you might not be sure have heard of. We have a Roku, which is a device that you can hook up to your television and you can
Nice.
stream movies from it. And part of the reason why we have it is because every time that we buy a movie, we get a free streaming, a downloadable movie that we can get that we didn't have any way of circulating. And so we have a Roku that's loaded with 40 different current
Really?
movies that
Oh,
you can
wow.
take home and attach to your to your either your
With it-
laptop or your computer, or to your television, and you can actually stream those different movies.
Nice.
So
Attached with a USB cord, or do you have any idea?
we have all the instructions
All the
available
instruct-
with it. Yes.
How long do they get to keep the Roku?
For a week.
1 week.
Yep.
And they better return it, right? Because we don't want somebody holding it for months.
Exactly. Now, and then the other thing is that we have a mobile hotspot now that you can check out. So what that
How
means
does
is,
that work? Yeah, somebody drop something on a table or something?
well, it's something that you can hook up. So, like, say if you go on vacation, if you go, to there's a lot of different ways that you can use it. You can go to the farmer's market. We could use it, and we could check out books. If there are all kinds of travel options, if you don't have the internet in a place
Right.
that's inaccessible. So it's a fun thing to do.
Wow.
Nice, wonderful. Thank you so much,
Jeez.
Becky.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Well,
Most of
I-
the things.
I-
I mean, that's plenty, but
No, I just want to give
more?
everyone else some
Oh,
time
yeah,
to
I
talk
know,
to.
I know.
The other side of the
Yeah.
table.
Well, do you have anything you want to mention here before we go? I know we still have a little time, but
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, you may have seen in the paper about the rededication, I guess you could say, of the bridge for Andrew Zabrit.
Yes,
that,
yes.
I don't know when that's going to happen, but that has gone through the legislature, and
Yeah.
it was
That's nice.
a tragic event. It happened,
Yeah.
I guess about 10 years ago now.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was, and I know their family has been hoping to have that recognition and designation, and finally we'll be
So
able to
it's
have
going to
it.
be on the bricks underneath the bridge?
that's what my understanding is.
It's
There's
gonna
going
be
to be some
on a
kind of a
highway, right?
plaque.
On
there
the
so
highway,
people-
each side.
highway.
You can
Right.
see
It'll
it
say
driving
Andrews.
down.
I didn't
yeah.
know why that wasn't just standard before. I didn't know
I know,
why they had to
because
they had to
nobody
go
knows
through a
it's up
bill with
there.
it,
Yes.
right? It was like a
Yes,
big thing.
right.
I just posted on the Chelmsford news page the article from Lowell Sun about it. In fact, I was
Yeah.
just talking to Jim Arcero today, the state rep, about
Right.
it. And so yeah, that's wonderful. The
think it's
Zebrik
great.
family, his parents are wonderful people.
They are,
Yeah.
yes.
And
Yeah.
so that's a great thing.
They
Do you
are.
have any community covenant? Like sometimes you have the hamburger days or hot dogs and hamburgers. You have any of those coming up?
Well, not in the winter,
In the
obviously.
yeah, in the summer.
Yeah, probably
spring.
next summer.
summer.
We most likely will have one. It went over very well last year. We had a great turnout. So,
Wonderful.
we like to show the appreciation that way. And we have some benefactors, I guess you could call them, who like us to do that, like us to feed the veterans. So
Yeah,
we get a
that's nice.
donation every several months from this one gentleman in particular. So
Really, that's
we
fantastic.
want to make sure that
And Agway probably donates their location
that's
for
right.
one thing,
Yes.
and probably the food too. Do they
Yes.
donate the food?
Yes, they do in
Isn't that
May
fantastic?
on Armed Forces
South
Day.
Chelmsford
That's very
Agway.
good.
Armed Forces Day.
They
That's
do
so
that.
that'll be in May.
Yeah,
You're
for the
right.
cats,
that's nice,
they
yeah.
donate all the food. The Billerica Cat Care Coalition, a
Right.
few times a year, the barbecues at the Chelmsford Agway. And they have the farmer's market there, as we have now through February. I go quite often on the Saturdays to report for the Chelmsford News page. It's my unofficial job, I guess, to be the reporter around town. Did you see I did a day in the life of Chelmsford last Saturday? Oh,
I didn't.
it's on Facebook, Angie, but
Oh,
I
I'm
posted
sorry.
over 100 photos.
Come on, you
We got to get
No
Angie
way.
on Facebook.
come down to the library. We'll show you how to do it.
Yeah, but
We'll set you up.
Well, Angie's very busy with being the
Yeah.
liaison to the legislature for the
Yeah.
school committee.
yeah,
So,
oh,
yeah.
nice,
Yeah, it's
nice,
human communication, and
Wonderful.
it's interesting.
nice, nice.
Gives you a little head start on some of the things.
Well, maybe with the few minutes we have left, maybe Paul could give us like quick statuses of a few
Sure.
things going on in town.
Yep.
The park on 7 North Road, we talked about it a little bit
Yep.
here. The Chelmsford Garden Club is
Yep.
going to be instrumental in putting that in,
Yep.
designing it. When do we think that might be completed?
As soon
or
as the weather,
constructed?
when the weather
gonna
breaks in
start.
the spring, it will happen. DPW is already in communication with the garden club in terms of materials and layout and so forth. And again, if we get an early spring, it will start sooner. I think the goal would be to have it completed, certainly in 2016.
Yep, sometime, maybe in the summer or
exactly,
sometime like that.
So,
That'd be fantastic.
And the key of that is it's going to be handicap accessible again, which is
Yes.
also
That's gonna
important.
be
That'd be
So that way
nice.
everybody of all abilities can
get
utilize
there.
the park.
And I know I spoke to somebody from the garden club. They're
Yep.
going to have at least 2 benches there,
Yep.
park
Yep.
benches.
Exactly.
They're going to have other just benches you could sit down. They're going to have all kinds of different trees that bloom
Yep.
and deciduous and
Exactly.
evergreens, all kinds
Yep.
of different things. So it'd be nice throughout the year.
And then the other side of town, probably on your list, would be the dog park.
Yes, the dog park was
will be
next.
opening in the spring as well. The construction's completed there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason they didn't open it in the fall, late fall, was because you had to do a grow-in season of the grass. It's very similar to a field.
Right,
You've got to give that
exactly.
grass a chance to take root. But the construction's complete, and again, once weather breaks in the spring, the dog park will be opening, and that's going to be another, I think, very popular venue.
That's fantastic, yeah.
I mean, the layout is fine. There's ample parking. You can just see the open space that's there for the dog lovers. It's going to be another community asset.
Yes.
it is,
And
yeah.
by the way, if
It's
anybody
good.
wants to buy a brick for that,
Yep.
they could let me know. They could send me an email at tchristiano@comcast.net, and I'll get you the form. I think the bricks are a minimum of $65, and then others are about $100. You could have a name, your pet's name, or whatever you want to dedicate it to, and it would help. We need more for the help support the dog park. It's all privately
Again,
funded, by the way,
it's
right?
always privately
not your
funded by a
tax
grant,
dollars.
and the operations are funded by the private donations.
Yeah,
So,
and the
Amazing.
Chelmsford Dog Association has done a great
Yeah.
job. Vivian
Vivian
Merrill,
Merrill and
being the
Eric.
president of it,
Eric,
the
they did a
members,
lot.
they're all
Yeah.
great people.
Yep, exactly.
And even though I have cats now, I love
Right.
dogs, so I'm going to be there at the dog
Yeah,
park too.
so again, that's
playing
another-
with the dogs.
Just don't bring your cats.
right, right. Yeah, they would hate me for
So
that.
another thing to look forward to in 2016.
Yes.
Yep.
Now the 101 Mill Road,
Mm-hmm.
that's an area. Everybody knows that town bought that, I believe.
Yep, yep.
And it's a nice building. Used to be an educational center there. And the old mill is on the right of
Yep.
it.
And
So do you
conservation
know-
land behind it, the soccer
Conservation
field,
land. Yes,
and
a
the
soccer
conservation land.
field. Do you have any idea
the-
when that's going to be
Again,
decided?
that will be decided in 2016 as well. The
16,
town
yeah.
meeting back in October approved the funding to do the structural analysis
Right.
and code analysis. That we're underway getting engineers to do that work, and so again, that will come to town meeting in 2016 for a decision on the reuse of that site.
That's
So-
generated.
Yeah.
The committee will decide.
The committee will recommend. The committee will
a
recommend,
certain-
and then ultimately will go to town meeting. Yeah.
Well, that's generated a
For
lot of
future use.
interest. I know on,
Yeah.
on Facebook, et cetera. People
Has
are
it really?
talking about it. And
Yep.
geez, even at their meetings, I think
Right.
it's generated a lot of interest.
Right, because it
at the
adjoins, as you
committee
said, it
meeting
adjoins
itself.
the mill stream, it
Right.
also adjoins the Murphy soccer field and the
Right,
conservation
right.
land.
There's a lot there.
So that's why its location is so important.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful site over there. Maybe they
Yeah.
could make it some sort of community education center. They're talking about that. Maybe, what was it, the school in the West Chelmsford there? We could get some of that as a community education center. I guess I'm
Excuse
thinking
me.
of put
Yeah.
part of it over there maybe to
Yeah.
bring up some room. There's all kinds of ideas that
Yeah.
might be. I was even thinking maybe a couple of veterans' houses, or whatever. But I don't know if they're thinking along those
Yeah, that would
lines.
take,
but
that would take some
anything
work.
to help
'cause
out the veterans.
It's an historic structure in terms of,
Yeah.
and the layout therefore.
Yeah.
It wasn't built to today's corridor
Right,
widths
right,
of bathrooms
right.
and so
Oh,
forth.
right, right,
So
yeah.
it makes it really
that makes it
difficult.
hard. Yeah, I've toured
Yeah.
that also.
Yeah.
That building took many photos, and they are small rooms,
Yeah.
small bathrooms,
Right,
things like that.
they are.
Yeah, you don't want to redo the whole thing, which
Right.
is so expensive, elevators and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's great. I think the location is wonderful. It'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, further down the road, there's a 40B that was approved, but I don't think no construction
No,
has started
they-
yet.
yeah.
On the end of Mill Road, 108 apartment units were approved a
Right.
while ago.
Right. Last we heard a few months ago, they were eyeing a construction no later than the spring. So again, we'll have to wait and see if they begin that work in the spring. But thus far, nothing has happened at the site.
Oh.
So it's permitted,
Yeah.
but no construction has
Yeah,
commenced.
yeah. I talked to Charlie Wojtas, who's on the
Mm-hmm.
zoning board of appeals, Pat's brother, a lot about it. We just said, what's going to happen with that? And
Right.
nobody knows.
So there is somebody there that potentially will stop building?
Right. Princeton Properties owns the site and is permitted for it. We're
Okay.
just waiting to see if the last they informed us back in September was they intended to
Uh-huh.
commence construction in the spring.
Okay.
So we'll see how it goes. And then obviously David Hedison's units, those should not be overlooked. The ones on Littleton Road.
Yes, yeah, we did mention that.
You know,
It's great.
by
Yeah,
the,
just-
you know, and those will be completed, we understand, the February-March time frame.
Oh,
And I think
really?
that first phase, and that's going to be very impressive.
Are we
Right.
going to have a ribbon
Well,
cutting ceremony?
yes, there'll be
Great.
ceremonies and open houses and so forth, and
Wow,
we'll let you know in
nice.
advance so that can be promoted.
Wonderful. That would be
So
fantastic.
It's going to just be, again, another signature piece from David Hedison
Right.
and the Housing Authority.
So, Paul, you've been here getting close to 10 years.
Starting
now,
my
is it?
10th year, yeah.
Wow, so how do you like it so far?
I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
I think you're doing a great job,
enjoy it.
Paul, and I think just about everybody in town thinks
Thank
that. And
They do.
you've always, like, every time I ask Paul to come on the show, he's always there for us. And every time I send Paul an email with a question, he always gets back to me. And unfortunately, our time has run out. Or I would have
Okay.
gone on for 10 minutes
All right,
complimenting
thank
you, Paul. But so thank you very much,
Oh,
Angie
my
Taranto,
pleasure,
for being here.
Tom.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Pat Wojtas. Good luck
Thanks
with the
for having me.
campaign.
Thank you.
I'll be at all your events, hopefully.
Okay.
I get invited. No. Hopefully. Oh, and you can
If I
post
get
them on the
invited.
Chelmsford news page, of
Okay,
course.
thanks.
Thank you very much, Paul
you,
Cohen,
Tom,
and
for
thank
having
you very
me.
much, Becky Herrmann. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for
Hopefully
having
you
me.
had a good time.
I
Okay?
did, and I'm going to come back the next like 10 weeks so that I can catch up with everything.
All right, that'd be nice, yeah. And I'd like to thank this wonderful crew, Tom and Meredith and Larry, and our great director, Pete Perdula, who's also the director of Chelmsford Telemedia. They come in and volunteer with our camera people every couple of weeks and do such a fabulous job. They deserve a lot of thanks. And we'd like to thank everybody who tunes into the show. And also, as we mentioned on the show earlier, if you're on Facebook and haven't joined the Chelmsford news page yet, please join that. It's a great way to keep up as to what's going on in the town of Chelmsford. Well, I hope to see you at all our holiday parties. I'm Tom Christiano. Ciao.